Right now, the Republican presidential candidates are zeroing in on the two states where the first 2012 votes will be cast. Newt Gingrich, Michelle Bachmann, Rick Perry, Rick Santorum. They're all in Iowa, where the caucuses are exactly 2 weeks from today. Mitt Romney, Ron Paul, John Huntsman, they're in New Hampshire, campaigning for support in the January 10th primary. Ron Paul has certainly seen his poll numbers improve in recent weeks. That's fueling speculation he might be a spoiler in the GOP race, especially in Iowa. Our chief national correspondent, John King, had a chance to interview Ron Paul earlier in the day. What was his basic point right now? Does he smell potential victory in Iowa?
He won't give me a number. I say, do you think you can win? He says, I don't know. We're doing very well. Will you come in the top three? He thinks probably. It's fascinating to watch because, as you well know, the establishment here in Washington views him as this outcast, a gadfly. In Iowa, they're worried if Ron Paul wins, suddenly people will say the caucuses don't matter anymore. How do they vote for this guy outside of the mainstream? The one thing he says, Wolf, is he loves this, that the establishment is mad. He says he's surprised, but he thinks young people in Iowa will propel him to a very strong showing.
I'm surprised on how well I have done over this past year, because I believe that some of the positions I've held, we're taking on, you know, the establishment at its very roots. But to me, it's very encouraging that the country is changing. They're sick and tired of Washington.
You know this from moderating our national security debate. Ron Paul 4 years ago was way out there when it came to his foreign policy views, but he's not as far out there now. When he says bring the troops home, a lot of people are weary of the wars. When he says let Iran build a nuclear weapon, it's not our business, that's when conservatives do get mad. In Iowa, where I was all last week, though, a libertarian base, a lot of young people. It's a lot like Barack Obama. It's more about the person than the party on the college campuses. They're for Ron Paul. He will have a strong showing in Iowa. Can he win? We'll see 2 weeks from now. But he will be an impact player in the race, and that gives the establishment fits.
But this year, as you know, the Republicans have changed the rules. It's not winner take all anymore in a state like Iowa or New Hampshire or South Carolina. They're proportionate. So you could get, let's say, 30% or 25% or 20% in Iowa, like the top three, and still say, you know what, that's not bad, we'll move on to the next state.
Which is why the establishment is cringing, because that means if Ron Paul gets 25 here, 30 there, 15 there, that means he amasses a lot of delegates. He has a broad network of support. He can raise a lot of money so he can stay in the race, even if he's placing second, third, and fourth. What's that mean? We get to the convention. He's got a bunch of people on the floor who are for Ron Paul. When it comes to the platform, when it comes to speaking, you have to deal with him. That's what gives the Republican establishment fits.
He'll have a base. There's no doubt about that.
He's a player.
As all of us know, he's got some passionate supporters.
His supporters say you have to say he can win the nomination. I'm still skeptical about that. We'll see if he can grow, but he is a player, without a doubt.
There's no doubt about that. All right, John, a lot more coming up on John King USA at the top of the hour. That's for our North American viewers. And let's go to Iowa right now, where a lot of people believe Ron Paul could, in fact, win the caucuses 2 weeks from today. Let's bring in our chief political analyst, Gloria Borger. She's joining us from Des Moines, the state capital. Gloria, you had a chance to speak about that prospect with Iowa's Republican governor, Terry Branstad. What did he say?
Well, actually, Wolf, the governor believes that Ron Paul does have a clear possibility of winning the Iowa caucuses, but as you might expect, he doesn't agree with the establishment because he thinks it would not affect the importance of Iowa. Take a listen to what he had to say. If Ron Paul wins, some Republicans are going to say, who cares about Iowa?
Well, it's still the first test, and it's all about being. It's the test of strength and who is the best. First of all, we've always said Iowa winnows the field, so you want to be in the top three. So, you know, it's not only about who wins Iowa. Huckabee won Iowa last time, but you know, it's also about. And obviously, this is where Obama got his start. So we want to be the state that not only launched Obama, but sunk him. Well, so that's what our goal is.
So, Wolf, you can tell he's spinning here a little bit, as you might expect, saying that it's not only about winning, but it's also about who comes in second and third. And he does have a point here, because somebody who might surprise us and come in second or third, like a Rick Santorum, could really have some momentum. But again, he's not having any of it, that Iowa isn't important.
You've been speaking to a lot of Republicans out in Iowa right now, Gloria. Why do they think Ron Paul is doing so well?
Well, there are a couple of reasons. First of all, they believe, the governor said this, and I was talking to some senior Republicans in the state, they believe that Ron Paul has a great issue set for the state of Iowa. He's anti-government, he's anti-Washington, and he thinks that resonates. You know, he doesn't want to spend a lot of money. He's always been a budget cutter, and that's what people here care about. But there's a second reason, and this is really crucial for Ron Paul. He's actually running a kind of Barack Obama, old-fashioned Iowa caucus race here. He's identifying new voters, younger voters, students in college, for example, who are anti-establishment, may identify with the Occupy Wall Street movement. He's identifying them. He's going to get them to the polls. And they say, you know what? His organization may be what drives him, if not to the top, then to the top tier.
What does a victory in Iowa, Gloria, really come down to?
It is about that organization, Wolf. It's about 1,774 precincts. Somebody just told me that today. You've got to know where your voters are, and you have to get them to those caucuses. And that's one of the problems that Newt Gingrich can't really capitalize on his surge, Wolf, because he may have some newfound popularity in this state, but he doesn't have the money to run the advertising on television, and he doesn't have the organization to figure out where his supporters are and make sure they come out on what could be a very cold and maybe snowy night, although we don't have any snow here right now, and get them out there to support him. So it's all about the ground game.
Gloria is reporting from Iowa all of this week. We'll check back with you tomorrow, Gloria. Thanks very much.